What's the motherfucking deal? No, it didn't go through on the first one because I had a little at sign in there, so it usually don't. You won't give it to them if it has the at sign in front of it. I still gotta give Miss Bell hers too. I don't think it registered. But what's the motherfucking deal? Welcome to the Den. If you're not familiar with the Den is the best conversation on the internet. The reason why the Den is the best conversation on the internet is because of you people. What do you mean, you people? Well, I mean you motherfuckers. Goddamn, what else do I need to say? Nah, but you guys do make this a very intriguing, interesting conversation every night. And whenever we get back to the days, every weekday. So tonight we're going to talk about something fairly interesting. Something that I question all the time. Something that I wonder about all the time. And that is Black Americans and Africans in America. And so we're going to talk about that. But first, let's see who we have joining us this evening. And let's get into it. And yes, the thumbnail is racist. Culture News, what's the motherfucking deal? My name is Mozilla Firefox. Mozilla, what's the motherfucking deal? Miss Bell, what's the motherfucking deal? Only one lie. What's the motherfucking deal? James Harden, no the fuck he doesn't. Let me see. Rashida Reed, what's the motherfucking deal? 335, what's the motherfucking deal? Let's see. 335, did I miss yours? I gotta get 335 years. Alright. Look, hold on. I can't forget my dog, 335, man. Alright. Let's see. Sweetberry, the pistachio pilfer professional herself. Let's see. Hi. Hotep Jesus is great. Are you familiar with Hotep? Hotep Jesus is excellent. I've been following Hotep Jesus for quite some time. Hotep Jesus is... I'm going to talk about Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus is great, though. Hotep Jesus is turning the world upside down. Hotep Jesus is the reason why ice baths are things, but we'll get into that. Let's see. Okay, if you don't want the pistachios, I'll take them back. You still have pistachios because they automatically generate, but I'll take them back. I appreciate it. I can use more pistachios. Let's see. Sweetberry asked for more pistachios, even though I'd already gave her pistachios. We ain't gonna talk about it. Rigo, what's the motherfucking deal? Kahao MC, what's the motherfucking deal? Kanisha, what's the motherfucking deal? Bad and Bougie, what's the motherfucking deal? Let's see. D-Love, what's the motherfucking deal? 1676, what's the motherfucking deal? 1676, always good to see you, man. Kevin Jones, what's the motherfucking deal? I'm gonna ignore that statement, but welcome to the den. So let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. Right, and I love Hotep Jesus' way of thinking, and I think that because that's why I say, I had a dream the other night, and it was after a conversation with a certain den folk. And I enjoy conversation with this den folk from time to time, and a lot of you, man, y'all reach out and sometimes we'll exchange text messages or whatever, and just often words of encouragement, motivation, or support, whatever it may be. It's always appreciated. And it was talking about individualism and being an individual, right? And I was just like, man, I like to think I'm one of a kind. I might be like one in a. How many folks we got out here in this old America? About 300-400 million. I might be like one in. It's like a 1 in 20 million. I'm like What's the motherfucking deal, Juicy Fruit? I think I'm a different breed. You know, that might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. But it's good to see, like I'm telling you, that Hotep thing, I'm not fully 100% because I'm just not a person that likes to get with movements or tribes or vibes or whatever it may be. But it's this little Hotep crew on Twitter. The way they think is, I'm very keen on it. Very keen on it. You know, economic empowerment is essential. I'm not mad at white people, not mad at all this other stuff. Like, be self-sufficient, take matters into your own hands. You know what the circumstances are now. Win. Fuck all the complaining. But let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. And welcome, Juicy Fruit. So, what I want to talk about is the world we live in today. America. A lot of hate, a lot of divisiveness, a lot of everybody hates everybody, right? But I don't really think that's the case, you know. I don't really think that is the issue. But a lot of people try to push that as the issue. A lot of people try to tell you that the world is a terrible place. We've had talks like this. I think we actually talked about this topic maybe a little over a year ago. I've been bringing back some topics because I want to hear some of the new Den folk and you know how they think. You know what I mean? And so I find it very interesting. Alicia, what's the motherfucking deal? But I look at this is something I compare often, and I wonder why. And that is, you see Africans come to America all the time. And they tend to be, for the most part, I think if it was a percentage wise, I can't give you an exact percentage, but I would say the majority of them are successful. Whether they're first generation, second generation, you know, Africans, I don't know, maybe third generation, who knows. But I think it's that first and second generation. I think once you get too Americanized, I think people tend to go towards the bad parts of America, and they start to get away from traditions and you know where they came from, or what made them who they are. But you see that these Africans, they come here, they work hard, they don't really glorify a lot of the same stuff that people who were born here, them Nigerians are killing it, who were born here do, right? And so I wonder, I sit here and I said, well, why is it that the Africans, they come here, they look just like black Americans for the most part. I mean, they don't necessarily dress exactly the same. Maybe they carry themselves in a different way, maybe a different sense of pride. There are a few differences, but they're not surface level differences. I mean, other than maybe the clothing. You know, you might say the voice or whatever, but there's lots of Africans who talk, you know, perfectly fine. You would not know the difference. And so I wonder, I'm like, well, why is it the majority of the Africans, they come here and they find success? But it seems like the media tells you, and again, it's what the media pushes. I don't think as many black Americans think the way that, you know, the CNN, have y'all seen that CNN's trying to push an all black panel? Yeah, I told y'all the other day, it's probably, I think it's the same crew that was talking about Cory Booker and not knowing the Kool-Aid and dipping all in the flavor, right? And so they're trying to push an all black, I guess, show, you know. I call it the pander panel, but it is what it is. I don't think as many black Americans as they try to tell you think the way that most do, but that's the media capitalizing on something. We'll get into that later. But I'm like, how is it that the people from overseas, and it's not just Africans, but I'm comparing Africans to black Americans because we talk about racism, we talk about it's the color of our skin, that's why this and that and this and that. But when you talk to an African, they don't seem to be concerned about the same issues that American blacks are. It's a great point. That's an excellent question. Though what's the percentage of those African homes are single? That's an excellent question. And I think that does have a lot to do with it. Because I mean, usually when you talk to an African, it's a full, what is the nuclear family or whatever you want to call it. So I think that's a great question. But you wonder, you know, so that makes me start to think, is it truly a racial issue? Is it truly a black thing? Or do they have communities that support them in a different manner? I don't know if y'all saw that thing Slim Thug posted up. I'm going to share it with y'all. I'm going to share it with y'all here in just a second. Because I believe Professor Trill sent it to me. And this is, like I said, I tell you, I think a little bit differently, but I don't go into a lot of stuff that I think. Because I think there's just certain things that are not for everybody. There's certain things, I share a lot, there's just certain ways that I think that I have to keep to myself in a select few. But there was a post he put up said, hey, last night I asked an Asian beauty supply owner, how do they get loans to open businesses throughout our communities? I was wondering if they get special loans from the government. She put me on and respectfully told me that they do a money passing rotation where a group of 10 to 20 of them pool in, on the average, about 10 grand each. She said every 6 months, each person gets $100,000 out the pot to start a business. They must pay back into the pot when the business is established. She explained this is how they support and help each other. They only hire family and friends who work for low wages till it's their time to get their own business too. The plan is for all 10 to 20 of them to have a cleaning business, laundromat, restaurant, grocery store, beauty supply, clothing store, electronic store in our neighborhoods to help build wealth for their family. She also admitted that to me that we spend a lot of money with them. This is how they win. This is how most ethnic groups who start business in our communities are winning. This is exactly the blueprint we need to follow. If we start supporting each other, we all could win. Some of you won't support anything with our own people, but we have to change our thinking if we're all to grow and leave wealth for our families instead of leaving dust. Now, I agree with that, all right? But that's a more capitalistic way of thinking, I believe, than what a lot of people want to push. A lot of people in this community hate capitalism. It's just the reason why everything's so bad. I don't think you can win with everybody like that. That's why I say I think you deal with like-minded people. But I believe this, and I'm gonna tell you why. When I was younger, there were a lot of, I don't know if they were actually Arabs, I call everybody Arabs, they're from India. A lot of Arabs had stores in the area in which I was living. I mean, all over town, all over that side. And I was cool with all of them, because I tell you this is another reason why I talk about what I'm talking about tonight. That I was cool with all of them. Like I'd go in there, I'll tell you this when people be coming out the store, oh, this so you're racist, man, don't shop with him, he's racist, he this and this, and niggas be coming out the store mad, but I go in there, hey, what's going on, hey, and they love to see me. And so that's when I started wondering, is it the way I carry myself? Is it because I carry myself in a different manner than most people? Because I got dreads, I got tattoos, I can dress, I dressed, more so like that back then, like everybody else. Wasn't anything different. It's the way I treated people. What was the difference? Maybe it's the way I spoke. I don't know what was the difference. But anyway, like I said, I noticed that all of them, I didn't know that they were all affiliated at first. But what I would notice is it got to a point where, depending on what side of town I was doing my dealings or whatever, so I'd be at different places. Sometimes you stop at the store, grab cigars, whatever it may be, my snacks or whatever. I'm finna go get lit, and I would see a group of them there, and I didn't think about it at the time. I'd see like a group of them, I'd say, hey, that's old buddy from the store across the way. He from down the road, and it would be 6 or 7 of them all together in whoever's store, and it might be the raggediest store of all of them, and they talking, having a meeting. I come in and say, hey man, what's up, what's going on, hey man, and it would not be a thing, and I'm not thinking nothing about it. Then within a week or two, that store started getting renovated. Store started upgrading. Didn't think anything about it, I'd see them at another store a couple of months later or a couple of weeks later, whatever. They all having a meeting. That store started getting renovated. And then that's when I kind of learned about this, but something different. I'd heard something different at the time. And I'm just like, man, these motherfuckers are in cahoots. They work with each other to help build each other up. And then they had a little conglomerate on that side of town, man. They worked with each other. Everybody won. Everybody ate good. I mean, and I'd see these motherfuckers talking $1 million business. I remember going to one. It was like the nicest little store. It was in prime real estate. And like I said, I remember going into the store and seeing one of the owners come out. He's talking to some other guys there in some suits, big rings. Just talking $1 million business. Because I just overheard ear hustling. $1 million business. And I'm just like, damn, it must be nice. But then I started thinking about it. It takes community, it takes togetherness. But most people don't have that mindset. When you come from the crab in a bucket mentality, as soon as you coming up, people get mad. I don't think it would work for a lot of people because, well, why does he get the money first? Or why does so-and-so get the money first? Why does this, and I think that's the mentality you have when you deal with the crab in the bucket mentality. But we talk about togetherness, we talk about these things, but we don't do that. And then again, when you talk about customer service, we talk about a lot of different issues that tie into this, that causes these problems. But I want to go back to the blacks and the black Africans. And why I think a lot of things today I don't believe are necessarily racial issues, that are called racial issues. Now there are some incidents that are absolutely. But but I think more of it is culture than anything. And culture is not race. Culture is how you identify, how you react, how you do certain things. And I think Black American culture, we talked about toxicity last night. I think Black American culture is toxic to Black people. We tell ourselves a bunch of bullshit. We sell ourselves a bunch of lies. We buy a shitty bill of goods and we pass it along to each other. But then you have those of us who come in here and there and they say, hey, you know what? That's not how it works. And they rise up and they come up and they think a little bit differently. They operate a little bit differently. And they find success and they move forward. And then, we call them Uncle Tom, we call them sellouts, or they think they too good, or they're bougie, or all of this stuff. And I hate that shit. I really hate it. I don't care. Call me cool, call me whatever you want to. I don't really give a fuck, because nobody's going to do anything about it. A bunch of words I really don't give a fuck about. But I think about results. Especially, we had that conversation a while back. Even the other day, we were talking about rhetoric versus action. But even before that, we were talking about results versus representation with the Kim Kardashian thing and Black Panther and all that. Everybody swore up and down Black Panther was going to be this rejuvenation of Black society. When I watched Black Panther, I saw them Africans don't fuck with those Black Americans. That's the way I saw it. That's what I took from it. When everybody else was talking about togetherness and, it's Wakanda forever and Usai and whatever else was going on, it's like what I took from it is what I see today. I don't think those Africans really fuck with Black Americans. They don't. They'll sample the goods. They'll fuck with the bitches. They'll blow a little money up and have their way with them. They don't really want that. They don't want that as a wife. They don't want American women as wives. They have a different mentality, have a different approach. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong. But when percentages are trending for one particular group to find more success than the other, why is that? What is the thing behind that is causing that? That's what you have to wonder. That's what you have to get behind. That's what you have to think about. Rich Paul rule, that I do believe is racially motivated. The Rich Paul rule, and no niggas are not going to start all going to HBCUs, listen to Chris Broussard, fuck Chris Broussard. But because these guys, there's no need to have a degree. If you feel like your family member has your best interest in mind, or you feel like somebody has their best interest in mind, there's no need to have a degree to represent somebody or be their agent. Again, that's why I say if you're going to start doing all these extra shits, you need to start paying the players, because you have too much control over, their career, and then what they're doing at this point now, what they're doing after they leave. So I do have an issue with the Rich Paul rule. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I absolutely was with Killmonger. I tell you, I always root for the bad guy. Killmonger, root for him. Shigure, one of my favorites. Bane, fucking Thanos. I always root for the bad guy. Bad guys are misunderstood. They're not really bad people. They're just misunderstood people. I think Thanos was a genius. I think Thanos was brilliant. Just misunderstood, But he had the best quotables. Killmonger also, I think Killmonger had a good cause too. Killmonger was trying to bring everybody together, right? Killmonger was trying to bring everybody together. What are you talking about, Shannon? That's not what they did. Say real, I don't know. I thought somebody was saying something with that. I'm not listening to that female pimp, so she don't make no sense. But again, man, you know, I think that there's something to be learned. But if you talk to most black people, they laugh at these. Oh, look at these. They dress like this. They do this. They're weird. You know, they're this. They're that. Especially coming up through school. When those Africans go off to college, they go off to be doctors, lawyers. I mean, think about it. I'm not saying there aren't successful black judges, lawyers, and doctors, and all these things. Even the Africans are coming over here and taking over in the NFL. Got a lot of niggas, I can't even say their last name, taking over in the NFL. They come here and they find success. And guess what? I guarantee most of them niggas who are in the NFL, if they were not successful NFL players, they're maximizing their potential. And if they have to fall back on their degree, they have a quality degree. I guarantee it. And so my issue is, what is it? What is it? You know what I mean? What are you talking about, Shannon? Hey, sometimes people gotta go. Is it for the greater good, right? Is it for the greater good? Sometimes, you know, you have to sacrifice the few for the good of the many. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm gonna open up the line here. I don't know. Shannon be losing me. I don't know. Anyway, don't forget, speaking of that, don't forget to cast in your votes for Worst Call. We'll be taking votes until we'll be taking votes until Saturday night. You feel me? Make sure you get those in. I got a lot of y'all registered, I think, from last night. So if y'all have more votes or whatever to get in, let me know. I'll make sure to oh, that's tough. That's a crazy question. You know, make sure you get your votes in and things like that. But I want to know your thoughts. What do you guys think? And again, all opinions are welcome. You know me, I like to hear from everybody. Whether you are a part of a certain community or not, makes no difference to me. Because I think all opinions have a certain level of relevance. Some people may observe things. You know, you can be so entangled into something that you overlook certain details because you're caught up in it. And you just may miss something. So I believe even on the outside looking in that you can provide relevant input. So that's my thing. That's my thing. Let's see. I really don't know what Shannon's talking about. I'm completely lost. Let me see. The female is like, you know, if they had like troll tier, what is that tier meme that was going on? I need to do that table meme. I'm gonna do that table meme for the den. What table would you say that? I don't even know that story. Some of these memes are fucking weird. But if you had like a den trolling tier, female pimpers don't like the bottom tier of the trolling. It's like she's working on it and getting better, but it still has a long ways to go. So those are my thoughts on that. Give me a second, let me get everything tooted and booted, and I'll open up the line. So I said I was going to speak on it. I was going to postpone for a second. I forgot that I said I was going to speak on it in a second, and I fucking forgot already. Wow. All right. There's a number. Fucking use it. Don't be all timid. Don't be scared to use the Denline. So, rich people are made? I don't think so. I think you have people who come up. I think people. Here's the deal. You become rich by fulfilling a need, and I think that poor people. I won't even say poor people, but lower class people become. You know, you have people, hundreds if not thousands of people become millionaires every year. It's not because of the lottery. It's because of people find a need or they fulfill a service that if you got so much money, you may not be aware of. You may not be thinking about it. But people who find a way to fulfill something in a convenient manner for a reasonable price. It may be a service, it may be a product, it may be whatever. I think that people who don't have as much money because they're not out spending it, they're not out, vacationing, there's no kind of free. I think people who were really determined to do something, and those are people who tend to be in the lower class. My ears have rang off. So I think that if you're determined, people become rich. What's the motherfucking deal? Who do we have calling into the den this evening?
Hey, it's Bill. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Miss Bill. How are you? What is on your mind about tonight's topic, Miss Bill?
I don't really have a whole lot to say, except the fact that I find that it has a lot to do with networking. Not specifically color-oriented, but just networking. The Jewish community, one of the ways that they came up through poor times was to bond together as a Jewish community. And like you said, one of the things that I remember growing up is that, certain neighborhoods, we'll say 20 years ago, they were primarily African American. 10 years ago, they were primarily Asian. 5 years ago, they were primarily Middle Eastern. So the thing is that neighborhoods change and culture changes. It doesn't always seem to go up and down. It just moves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In fact, it's one of the things that my husband remarked on is like back in the 50s and 60s, it used to be all white grocery stores in certain neighborhoods. Then it became African-American grocery stores. Then in the 70s, it was Hispanic grocery stores or bodegas. And then later on, it became Asian grocery stores. So I think what it is, too, is culturally, at different times, different influences come into the neighborhoods as they change. Primary ones in bigger cities like, Chinatown or Little Italy or, Greek town, those things don't kind of change, but it doesn't mean the faces of the people in the shops don't change, because that's all part of evolution. And we as a nation, we're travelers. I know that it says that most people don't move 20 miles from where they were born. Did you know that?
Yes, I find that to be very strange.
Yeah, it was like 70 to 80%. But then again, all the rest of those people are all over the place, and if you're planting seeds all over the country, then different things are going to grow. And so cultures are going to change, and times change, and money changes. But as you were talking about with the Africans and the African American community, it's like my question, because again, I'm the white girl that asked the questions, why is there so much non-networking between the two?
That's a very good question. And I think that because I think there's a lot of similarities, that there really are big differences within the culture. I think that honestly, that Africans, I won't say they're more conceited or something like that, but I think they have maybe they're more prideful, with maybe good reason or so. And so they look at Americans a certain way. They look at the way Americans behave, where Black Americans represent themselves. And I think they choose not to associate with that so much. Hey, when you're having fun, that's one thing, but when it's time to handle business, I don't think they look at most Black Americans as serious. I think that that as a whole, I think they don't care for us.
So what I'm hearing you say is that other countries, and I see that it's not just an African or African American thing. My background is English. Now, Britain, they're a bunch of snobs, not all of them, and it's very across-the-board statement. But I find the same thing, is that they do look down upon Americans, but yet we're the one that's taking all the refugees in. We're taking all the ones that can't financially afford their own and having them come here. So where does that communication get talked about? Because we've taken in, I mean, despite the slavery, which was a really horrible thing, I'm talking about in the 20th century, about all the people who have come over from, different hurricanes and their countries being attacked and political asylum and those things. But yet, like you said, they want to look down on us, but yet we're the ones taking care of them. How does that work?
Yeah, but I think that they have an attitude of, especially a lot of them, depending on which culture. 'Cause I think there's still stigmas associated with each of the various cultures. But I think the ones who come over here and again they take advantage. They look at it, well, you have the same opportunities and you're not even maximizing the benefits in your country. And so again, I think they may look at it as a work ethic, or they may look at it as.
Now, on some levels, they're not really completely wrong. Because, and I don't say that particularly to the African American community. I think it's an across-the-board United States kind of thing. There are white people that don't take advantage of the jobs just because, for whatever reason. And my point is that's not, at least in my opinion, it's not just based in the African American community. It's in the Hispanic community. It's in the white community. It's in all the communities. But as a whole, yes, we are looked down upon that. I don't think that it is completely just, particularly, even though these are the two categories that you're working with tonight. I think it's a much broader stroked brush with that. As far as other foreigners coming in and looking down upon us as a country, I think that happens a lot more than gets talked about. But yet we're the ones that are kind of saving their behinds because they can't be in their own countries. So it's two-way street, I guess. But something you were saying about the businesses with the communities. That's the thing. I know that there is a lot of pride in the African American community, but it's a hard time, and it's been a long time since I've seen them have that kind of business effect that you're talking about. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that in certain areas I just don't see it. It's like there's like a disconnect. I see it with different communities here where I live, but not always with the African American community. I see it when they deal with the NAACP, which is more political, but I don't always see it with the businesses. And that's a little bit of just a different perspective because I live in a small town. And it's not all white. We're probably more like 60-40. So, anyway, that's pretty much I have to go. I
Might have lost some juice there. That might be on me. We were doing so good, and now I don't know. I think I lost Miss Bell there. I don't know if I'm still live. Is it timed out? Y'all let me know. Great. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. You there? Hello.
Hey.
Okay.
Not sure where you where I left you, so.
Yeah, it just clocked out. I was trying to see what was going on. You were talking about after the 60-40, and then it kind of.
Yeah, it's just like I said. I try not to step into the African American culture because I'm not, and so I don't have what do we always say? I don't have a leg in the game with this. But it's just sometimes I have questions because of being an outsider looking in and kind of go, how come that happens? So that's pretty much it for me tonight. Do you have any questions?
What community would you say if you were looking at other races? What community do you see or in your opinion, is the most economically empowered?
Impoverished?
Empowered.
Empowered.
Yeah.
Actually, I probably want to say Asians.
What do you think Asians? Like, what is it about Asians that you see?
I guess because of the, and I don't know much about the culture either, but just from an outsider looking in, there's that representation of studious, hard work. They push for their kids to go to college. They push for the family unit. You know, I'm not saying that there's not divorce. I'm not saying that they don't have scandal. I'm just saying from the outsider looking in, what it represents is as a unit, as family. You know, there's a lot of rules. There's a lot of, you know, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. And I'm not saying that there aren't families that haven't been brought up broken and all that, but culturally, it's represented as a family unit. And family is the most important thing. So, with that being said, having each other's backs and that kind of stuff, you look at that, and it just shows a sort of a representative. I mean, white people will throw their parents into nursing homes with no questions asked sometimes. They drop them off and don't even visit them ever again. Now, I do know that the African-American culture, up until, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, took pride in having their ancestors at home to allow them to be there as long as they could while it was healthy and safe for them to do that. I mean, I go back, I was working in nursing 30 years ago, and I saw more white people in nursing homes than I saw any other culture. It was the rarest of all that we ever saw anybody that was Asian. And it wasn't because of where I lived, because that wasn't even completely a factor. But the next, you know, it was very rare that we saw anybody that was African American. And 90% of the time it was because the family physically couldn't take care of that person, but they were there every single week. And it was a different family member, or they stayed on top of making sure that that family member had their needs met. You know? I can't tell you because I haven't worked in the nursing field for a really long time, but I know that that dynamic has changed quite a bit. You know, and are we taking care of our ancestors and our parents like we should be? Yeah, I know that there's a lot of brokenness, but it's not just culturally, that's across America. You know, as a culture, we want to be in single-family homes. We don't want to take care of our parents. We raise our kids and we raise them to be on their own, and then we have our own time. But back 20, 30, 40 years ago, you'd have 2 or 3 generations in one home. And that was all cultures. That wasn't just black or white or Hispanic or Asian. It was the affordability. You know, and sometimes you really wonder whether America's greed to have their own is causing some of this too. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just had a long day. So, any other questions?
No, ma'am. That's all I have for you this evening.
All right. Thanks for listening, and have a good night.
All right, thank you. The bell has rung. Appreciate you calling, Ms. Bell.
All right.
All right. Let me make sure Ms. Bell. I actually Ms. Bell from her early bird pistachios too, because they didn't register. I don't think I put them in. Oh no, I did. I did put them in. I put them in, man. So here we go. And the bonus for being first caller. Bow. So, whoa, Heidi. Going pretty far there, Heidi. I don't even know. But that's interesting, you know. And culture provides a very good point. Is it that the Asians are smarter, or are they better programmed? I mean, if you're forced to do a certain thing, I mean, if it's almost mandatory. And I wonder how much of that ties into the African community. I wonder how much of that ties into, again, if you're a first or second generation, and, you know, coming from overseas, still having those ties overseas, and then you're realizing what you came from and the opportunity that you have here, you're more willing to seize it. You know, you're going to take advantage of every opportunity. You're going to work hard. You're going to do everything that you can to move forward, to move ahead, as opposed to, again, I apologize for your ears, as opposed to somebody who just, you know, they take it for granted. What's the motherfucking deal? Who we have calling into the den this evening?
My name.
My name. What's my name? DMX. Now, what's the motherfucking deal? My name. What's on your mind? What would you like to talk about tonight?
I want to comment on what Ms. Bell said, like with the nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, from my experience of seeing the people in the nursing home is normally, well, the ones who kids actually care about them and can't, you know, provide for them at their home. They normally do be there a lot for them. Like, they go visit them often and, you know, check on them. Now, the ones who don't care, now those are the ones, you know, they just leave their parents in there and they know that the parents will eventually die. Now, my grandma, she used to work on the plantation, and this was like, what? This was in the beginning of 2000. She was working at a plantation for an elderly lady or whatever. And, you know, she would help the lady or whatever, you know, drive her around, take her where she needed to be. But them kids wanted that money. And what they did was they put her in that nursing home, and they knew that, you know, my grandma would go visit her like every Tuesday and Thursday or whatever. But they knew that when they put her in that nursing home, she would have died out quick. So some people put them parents in nursing homes because they don't want to be bothered with it, you know. Now, you know, there's times when, you know, you have to or whatever. Like, one of my friends, her mama had dementia. She could have put her mama in a nursing home. You know, she had one daughter and all the rest was boys. Now, the boys wasn't going to take care of her. But, you know, the daughter, you know, she had her family. She let her mama move in with her. You know, I helped her for a little while with her mama, but her mama ran away from me one time and I couldn't find her. So I never kept her overnight after that situation or whatever. But, you know, to this day, she takes care of her mama. Her mama stayed there. You know, it's a lot on her, but, you know, people know when you you put your parents in them nursing homes don't always take care of your parents, you know.
Well, I have a question. Where did y'all find her? Where did she end up being when she ran away from you?
Oh, my gosh. They went on a cruise and she asked me to keep her for her. I said, okay. You know, I got my 5 kids here and me. So I'm like, okay, y'all help me out or whatever. So I'm figuring, because she was struggling with opening the screen door or whatever. So I was like, you know, I'm not going to worry about her getting out. I locked the door. And she's the type of person, because she has dementia, she fuss all night long. Like, she hardly sleeps. And she just fuss a lot and, you know, be having arguments and she be real loud. So, you know, I was like, you know, when I finally did get to sleep, it was morning time. And my son was like, Mom, wake up. You know, Miss Rebecca not here or whatever. My door was wide open. I was like, oh, my gosh. I was yelling down the street to because my granddaddy, when he was alive, he used to, you know, stand out there. And I was like, you see Miss Rebecca? He didn't know what I was saying. So he told my grandma to come down. So my grandma came down. I was like, did you see Miss Rebecca? And it was like, no. So we got in the car and we rolled down the road, and like around the curve, like there was an ambulance, but you couldn't see them or whatever until you got up on them, and they was taking her to the hospital or whatever. So I had to go pick her up from the hospital. But I learned my lesson. I went and got one of them locks that you can't unlock the door without a key. I ended up getting one of them locks and putting on it for the remainder of her stay.
Yeah. That's tough. Fortunately, you saw it before they jumped off with her in the ambulance. So at least you were able to locate her before it was.
I was like, oh my gosh, this lady's gonna hate me because I lost her mama. But she wasn't even like that. Like when I finally told her that I lost her mama, she didn't make a big deal out of it because the mama used to run away from them too. So what happened was like you have to be very careful with people with dementia. So like you could go to your local fire department and they can put one of them bracelets on them or whatever so that you can track them because they go and they leave and you don't know where they be at.
That's tough. That's tough. Okay. Okay. So what do you think though about the Black American versus the African in America situation? What do you think is the difference between the two cultures?
Well, like I said, I already put my comment in the chat, but my mind is somewhere different. So when it's like we're not the same people. Yeah, we all look black or whatever, but we're not the same people. We don't come from the same lineage or whatever. So they would be treated better because I don't even want to get into that history or whatever, but we're just not the same people. And I don't know if anybody's seen Congolese people, but them people, they think very low of black people. Like, they treat black people bad, So they don't even consider them we the same people. We see them because we say, oh, they black just like us or whatever, but them people don't even classify us as them.
Okay. Shout out to Dan Strong, man. I appreciate the love. Okay, that's interesting. That's just this question I have. That's kind of the way I viewed it because some of the interactions that I've had between, like I say, Africans and their opinions on Black America, they don't think very highly of Americans and American culture. I think a lot of them, they come to America thinking one thing because you see on TV the representation, but then you get here and it's not so much what it is that's getting pushed forth on television, and so I think they have a different. They end up thinking differently. So.
Yeah, because my aunt, she dated a few Africans and stuff like that, and she used to tell me, they really like they are very bossy, like the men or whatever, but they prefer white women. The African men, they prefer white women. And, it's like you just got to do what they say or whatever.
Interesting. Do you think that is because they think white women are more submissive?
I just think, because I don't even want to get into that either. But, how they make it seem like, white people, like that song, white gold, like, being with a white person is just, it's like every black man's dream or something like that. Like, is that thing you couldn't touch, and when you finally get to touch it, they glorify it like it's something, great or whatever. I don't know,
Okay.
But to each their own.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else that you would like to add, Miss My Name?
No, that was it.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate you calling in and sharing that with you, and I'm glad that you found Miss Rebecca.
Thank you, and bye.
Adios. Shout out to My Name. It's always good to hear from My Name. She called me. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that Miss Rebecca escaped like that. But good thing she found. That's interesting. I guess I don't. Now I've heard about African men being bossy and things of that nature, and some various other shit. But I guess from a female perspective it'll be different. And I've known chicks who said they don't care for it, but again, these are American black women, and I know their backgrounds, and I won't say they were all the most upstanding, but it is what it is. What's the motherfucking deal? Who do we have calling into the den this evening?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Right.
How you doing?
Doing all right. Who do we have calling in this evening?
Huh?
I said, who do we have calling in this evening?
Juicy Fruit.
Juicy Fruit. How are you doing, Juicy Fruit? Is this your first time calling?
Yes.
Okay, good to hear. So how are you feeling about tonight's topic? What would you like to speak on, Miss Juicy Fruit?
Excuse me?
I said, how are you feeling about tonight's topic? What would you like to speak on?
I have something to say about the topic, and like the lady that was talking,
You got a little bit of an echo behind you. Could you turn that down for me, please?
she didn't have like too much correct things to say, basically.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Can you you have like a little bit of an echo?
I'm trying to follow the TV and this music. All right, I need to. Yeah. All right, let me mute the TV.
Okay, thank you.
Hello?
Okay, so you were saying the lady that called in, you said you didn't think that she had too much correct to say about the topic?
Yeah, because, I grew up in a household to where, my mother is, a black American, and my stepfather was African. And how they basically, his family basically grew up was more or less to where Africans really don't look at us as their equal. They all the way look at Africans as being their superior, and like if you wasn't their own, you was beneath them. A white woman was basically like a piece of prize for a family member, well, not even a family member, basically like somebody who, came from money. If you didn't come from money, you was still all the way beneath them. No matter how hard, my mother tried, to get the family to like her, because she did everything just of how an African tradition would do it. It still was not enough for them, like, because she is not African. She is not purebred.
That's tough. So ultimately, did they last, or how long did your mom stay with your stepdad? How did it work out, or were there differences or how did that whole relationship kind of play out?
It went to shambles. It honestly went to shambles, and there is how I view things on how the relationship was. He kind of sabotaged it on behalf of the family.
So what about you personally? Have you ever had encounters with African men? Did that kind of change the way you felt about dating or encountering Africans? Or yeah, I guess.
Excuse me, can you repeat the question?
I said, did that have an impact on your relationship with African people, or did that impact how you view African men? Did that change your thoughts on them? Do you date African men? Like how do you feel about that from your perspective?
I'm a mixed breed. My mother is American and my father is Panamanian, and I have dated American men and I have tried to date Spanish men, and I realized Spanish men do not like mixed breed. If you're not Spanish, the family don't like you either. And if you're the African man, I have never, dated a full African man. But a black man, I get belittled. And when I dated, somebody as far as like mixed race, I get like, let's say an American Indian person, like as somebody like myself, I kind of get worshipped. It's almost as if like they understand where it is that I come from, because you have to battle basically yourself, because half of your family wants you to be specifically with this side. If you're not this and you're not that, then they don't agree or want you to be a part of their family. And with my father being Panamanian, that was
another one of those things that, my mother dealt with, because my mother is light-skinned American. My father is a little bit darker than you and speaks pure English, pure Spanish. But my aunts and uncles didn't like my mother. So I don't know, like, and how they say they classify blacks, dark-skinned people with color, is, they put us against each other from years ago, back when we were slaves, and now here we go again, all over again, and we can't seem to appreciate ourselves. We're all still people of color. It shouldn't matter.
That's actually very interesting. I've always kind of. So, when you were growing up, did you find yourself favoring one side more than the other, or did you try to really get to know both sides of you?
Excuse me?
I said, as you were growing up, did you favor one side of your family more than the other, or did you really try to equally get to know both halves of or each of your cultures?
I embrace both sides of my family. I try to be as family involved as I can. But even till now, it's my Spanish side of the family that still fights with, the American side of the family. And I have a son right now. Like, I'm a whole grown woman with my own child, and I find myself trying to basically kind of pull my Spanish side of the family into trying to accept my son. And like I said, we're still people of color. But because he's not fully Spanish, or they don't feel like they want to accept him. So that's why I'm saying, like, it's this battle of color is a little bit too much. Like, we still have to learn and appreciate each other. Like, we may not have dealt with what our ancestors have dealt with, but we still have to learn to love and appreciate each other as people of color and learn how to stick together. See, and it was a point of time when black people all stuck together after, the revolution, when people were able to be able to vote, and people were able to stand out there and put out those thoughts of saying, hey, we can picket without a riot. That's how our voice was able to be understood. We didn't always just sit here and cower under each other. We sat here and fought for our voice to be heard. But now we sitting here fighting against each other. When will it ever stop?
That's a good question. Do you think? But what do you think about people who look at black people who may not fall into the status quo? And because sometimes in the black community, we can ostracize ourselves. You say we fight with one another. Sometimes we ostracize ourselves. Do you think that black people should have different lines of thinking, or should we all be on one accord of thought?
Ooh, Jesus. Oh boy. Now you really put me on the spot.
I just got to know some things, especially when you're first time caller. I gotta get to understand you. So that's all it is. Nothing. All forms of thought are welcome here. You will not. Well, you may be judged, but we won't treat you any differently.
I don't judge about anything. I don't judge it. To tell you the truth, like, I am one of those free-hearted people that you love who you love, you are who you are, and that's because of the things that I've seen with me growing up, and especially within inside of my own doors. Like, I'm not against any race, any culture. any gays, bisexuals, whatever you are, I love and appreciate you for who and how you are. And I had to learn that the hard way also, because I came out of the closet at like 13, 14 years old to my mother, basically saying that, listen, hey, I like girls. I mean, I kind of portrayed this, I like boys or whatnot, but I don't necessarily like boys all the time. I like girls. And because she was so open-hearted, you know, like, and she accepted me for who I am, knowing that I had a friend, he was gay and his family kind of disowned him, and he's a man of color. It was a bit disappointing, like, so I love people for who you are.
Now, that is going to lead me to another question. I'm about to be real nosy. If you don't want to answer, fine, Andy. But I just have questions, and I'd like to know. So you said at 13, you came out. Like, how did you know? Was it something that you felt as a youth growing up to this point? Did you just all of a sudden start having these feelings?
So, how did I know?
Yes.
I knew when the hell I was fucking my best friends at a sleepover. How about that?
How do you?
Shit. And then remember when HBO used to be rated R, and you know, you had to you needed that parental code. Somehow we figured out the parental code. And HBO had some stuff, and me and her was just like, let's try this.
Interesting. So how did
your face says it all.
How did the son come about?
I was in a relationship with an older man, about 10, 11 years older than me. It was like something like an open relationship, but not like an open relationship. More or less like you know, I can have females in my bed, and you get to enjoy. And then, ta-da! I end up pregnant.
Okay. That is very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, I'm just wondering, because I mean, you know, this is new stuff to me, so I like to implore.
You do know my mother is listening to this conversation, and she's shaking her head right now.
Who's listening?
Huh?
You said who was listening?
My mama listening to this conversation, and she's shaking her head right now.
Well, hey, Mama Juicy Fruit, how you doing?
And no, that's Empress Yaya.
No, that's Empress Yaya. Oh, okay. Oh, what's in the family? Okay. Well, shout out to Empress Yaya. Okay, yeah, we know Empress Yaya. That's an OG, triple OG. Okay. All right. So, okay, very interesting. So, did Miss Empress invite you to the den? She just kind of showed it to you. How'd you stumble across the den with Miss Empress Yaya?
Excuse me?
I said, so did she introduce you to the den? How did you?
Yeah, I ain't even gonna front. Like, I had dragged my mother all the way from down south, right, to come up here and hang with me for like a couple weeks. And she was in here, like, bogarting my TV watching this, and I'm just like, what is going on here? And she...
I think I'm getting a little bit of lag here. Give me just a second. All right, are you still there? You know, people watch it on the TV, and then people do actually enjoy the pistachio. So, okay. That's
and then she, like, that's why earlier I was sitting there, like, trying to get in. She's like, yeah, Honcho gonna be on. Honcho, who the heck is this Honcho? So I'm trying to, like, get into the thing on my phone, and I'm trying to figure out. She like, listen, push this, push that. Like, all right, but that it took me 45. It really did took me 45 minutes to learn how to post down at the bottom of the live chat.
Well, I'm glad that you
Now I'm
learned
trying
that.
to figure out about these pistachios. How are your pistachios?
So the pistachios work, like I say, as long as you're in the chat, you'll like automatically every 5 minutes you get so many. I forgot what the amount is, but then you can play the games, challenging people or stealing people's pistachios and different things like that. And that's another way that you can earn pistachios. The pistachios basically you accumulate them from playing the games or just being in the chat. But you got to be careful because there are certain people who I won't name, Sweetberry32, who will do anything they can to steal your pistachios.
He said, "Who I won't name." Yeah. So how many pistachios do I get? Can I get some pistachios?
Yeah, I got you. I mean, everybody who calls in, you get a 1,000 pistachio bonus. And since you are a first-time caller, I will hook you up. I'm gonna hook you up with some extra.
Oh, see, that's so nice. See, I like you already.
Look, don't like me too much yet. You know, you gotta give me a few episodes because sometimes I have a way of turning people off. People don't like everything I'm talking about, but hey, you know what? I appreciate it. And I'm glad that you are, tuning in and that you are participating. And also shout out to Miss Empress Yaya. So I'm glad that you called in and shared your story. I really am. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
You got a nice smile.
Mm-mm. No, don't.
It's time to go.
Don't let the smile fool you. That's
Oh no, he didn't. No, I was just admiring your smile. The phone and the TV is like a little bit off. So when you were smiling just now, it was like, oh, your smile. You do have a nice smile. All right, I'm sorry. Have a good day now.
all right. Well, Miss Juicy Food, I thank you for calling. I hope to hear from you again soon.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'll call in again, okay?
Absolutely. I'll be looking forward to it.
All right.
All right, thank you. All right. Hey, man, that's cool, man. Hey, look, a family that watches the Den together blends together. I don't know if that makes sense, but it sounds good, right? Already. Well, what's the motherfucking deal, man? Who do we have calling into the Den this evening? Are you bringing more jokes today? Is that what? Are we going down the joke route, or are we going? Are we doing something different? Wait. Okay, because one, I do have you muted on accident. That was probably for the best. It was probably for the best that I did have you muted. So let's take a vote. Okay, quick poll. Quick poll. Right now we have a gentleman on the phone who wants to share some more jokes. The same gentleman who shared some jokes with us yesterday. And so we're gonna let the chat choose if we're gonna hear these jokes or not.
Come on.
A 0 for no and a 1 for yes. So if y'all want to hear some more jokes, type 1. If you don't want to hear some more jokes from the particular caller, type 0. I would like to know how you feel.
Let me just say this: if the Den people put 1 in the chat, I will post a video tomorrow on Instagram of me running naked at the Galleria.
You said if they put no, that's what you'll do. If they put yes,
If they put a 1 in the chat.
I don't want to see that. So I think that everybody should definitely put plenty of zeros. So yeah.
I think I see more 1s than zeros.
Oh no, I see significantly more zeros. But I ain't gonna do you like that. I will let you tell your jokes, and if they're bad, I'm just gonna hang up on you. Okay?
All right.
So, like I was saying, there's a lot of issues, and I thought it was very interesting what Miss Juicy Fruit was saying about how, that one side kind of looks down on the other side, and, that they feel like they're better. I think that's kind of something that I've come across too. That's kind of something that I've seen from my encounters also that, that the Africans look at the African Americans, they feel like they are better than them. And I wonder how much of that has to do with, heritage, pride. Again, I think about the way that we carry ourselves, various things like that. And, what is the impact of that? But then again, it could be multiple factors. Well, what's the motherfucking deal? Who we have called into the den this evening?
Man, it's your boy Roman.
Roman Reigns. How are you doing, Roman? What's on your mind this evening, Roman?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Yeah, man, just trying to get over. Now I'm trying to talk about sports. I don't know how one quarterback. It's a preseason game, but I don't know how one quarterback could look stellar and trash at the same damn time. Man, that's just surprise shit me. But let me get on to this topic. Okay, so we talking about Africans and then black people, right? Like
Yes.
African Americans. I should say proper. It's kind of like what's her name said? What was I can't say that name. I agree with that. I think both just look down on each other, and the sad thing about that Honcho, I think both could learn a lot from each other. You get what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we all black. I don't think that takes away what we are. Just because one was born in America and one was born in a country in Africa, don't take away that nigga. We same skin. When people look at us, they're gonna both say we black. I think it's so much that both black people. Damn, right? It's so hard to say. I got to talk proper. That Africans and African Americans can learn from each other. You get what I mean? Damn. I don't get. I just always don't get this, Honcho. Like, why argue and fight with each other when we could grow bigger and work together and get shit accomplished? You get what I mean? I don't get the hate on some. I've seen African Americans hate on Africans because, I've seen a lot of Africans are more strict. It's not every African, but I've known a couple Africans, a couple of my African friends over there, they parents strict. Every single one. They say they parents strict, they don't play no shit. You can't be coming home to their mama, they like that, nigga. It's African ass whooping. I don't know what that is, but I want to see it. I want to know how I feel. But I've always heard they're more strict. And now I've heard, not every single one of my African American friends, but you know how that is, man. You got your mom be on you, but sometimes you got that lean mama. It's not all African American families. It's just a super strict parent. Now you can't be disrespectful and say shit like that, but when it comes to shit in school and shit like that, man, I've seen so many lean parents to where I really think that's something that Africans can teach black people. African Americans. Hey, look, man, we gotta get on our kids more so. We can toe down.
Do you think black people want to hear that?
What'd you say?
But do you think black people really want to hear that? Do you think that black people look at Africans as someone that you would turn to for advice? Do you think that? Do you think that black people look to Africans as being in a better position in society? I think it's kind of in my personal experience, and I'm gonna let you finish your thought. That and let me not be biased when I say this. That I say Africans to me, they feel like they're better than American blacks, and I feel like American blacks feel like they're better than Africans. But I think when you're looking at the statistics that really matter, I think if we were looking at percentages, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure overall, Africans who have immigrated, or first or second generation Africans, or however you want to look at it, are probably doing significantly better than your average black American. And just because, like you said, the discipline, the importance that they place on education, things like that, most regular blacks, we care more about can a kid do the latest dance and whatever's going on. Like we don't push the importance of education. So, but do you think personally, in your experience, do you think that American blacks look at Africans and what they have going on and say, hey, well, maybe we can learn something from them?
I'm gonna say no, but we should. I don't think we look at, like I say, I'm gonna say black people and Africans. I think black people, we just look at Africans as, oh, they stuck up. Oh, they think they doing something. Oh, you know. But you gotta realize, a lot of Africans that come from Egypt, I can't think of all the African countries, but you know, come from all these African countries, and a lot of times, sadly, the African countries are very poor, you know. They come over there and they value education. They value it because they can't get that where they're from. You know, the thing is, it's that a lazy American mindset. I don't even say it's a black lazy mindset. It's American mindset. We all, I feel like Americans feel like we're so entitled to everything that we don't value education like Africans do. But we become jealous when these Africans become these doctors, when they become these great figures, and Dr. Shelby, how he really did find all those cures. And I think he got killed. In my opinion, he got killed, but he was African. Now he found all these cures, and it becomes, in my opinion, a big jealousy. Well, we should be praising each other and learning from this shit. Like, man, we can do this. We got the same genes, got the same ancestors. I mean, well, why not? Because shit, just because they African and you black, don't mean you just not as smart or educated or just not have the much dreams as that African do. This is the thing. It's the difference. You can have a dream, but if you don't try to pursue that dream, you ain't gonna get it. The thing is, and I see so many talented black people, and I feel like they don't go pursue that. Even I know, and they fail, and they get stuck in the same system bullshit, the same statistic and how it feels about black people. Well, a lot of times I see these Africans, you know, I see them, they take what they given. They'll come to America and they say, you know what, my number one thing is to get an education. My number one thing is to go to a nice college. Bam, living nicely. Bam, learn how to manage money and do their job. Now, why can't we learn from that and go as a whole black community in general? But we're not going to do that. Because, Honcho, you did bring up a good point. We'll try to learn the new dance. And I'm not saying learning new dances is bad because, you know, that's a way of art, that's a way of style, and black people always have had that. You know, but damn, when we talk about style, art, music, all that, man, that originates from Africa. Don't forget the first black bones were found in Africa. So the thing is, in all the dances and the African dances, man, where you think we get the way, why you think a lot of black people can dance? We get it from Africa, we get it from ancestors, and from our ancestors down there. So I just think it's sad that a lot of times, this is my main point, I'm going to say, Honcho. I think blacks in America, I think we just take advantage. We don't take advantage of the privilege that we have, especially in this country, when it comes to education. I'm speaking just talking on education. We don't. While we let other people from other countries, including Africa and all these other countries, come over here, take these not jobs, but take that education that's given to you, and then they run with it. They become these billionaires, millionaires, seeing their faces, create stuff behind the scenes, and jealousy begins because you're jealous because you didn't get it. You're jealous because you didn't fight for it, but you didn't want to work for it. And when you don't work for it, you don't get it. Now, I think it's that, man. I think it's down to working for it and dreaming of it and getting it. But that's all I got to say. You got any questions for me, Honcho?
No, Roman, I don't have any questions for you. That's all I got for you this evening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you say you ain't got no questions for me?
No, I have no questions for you. I'm not going. I know. Often I give you a hard time, Roman. So I'm not going to.
Well, no. Honcho, you got a question? Ask it to me, man. I'm ready. I'm there.
Okay. So you talked about black folks chasing dreams and things like that. Do you think that Africans come to this country with a different dream than most black Americans have, being born in this country with the dreams that they have?
That's a good question. You know, in a way, I'm going to say yeah. You know, because unfortunately, I think a lot of times what black kids see in America, we just see the typical football player, the basketball player, and it's just, people I know. I mean, that's a lot of times they dream. Now, I've met people that want to be archaeologists and deal with animals. And, I mean, I'm not saying it's off there. You know, I'm not. I'm just saying that I think we all got the same dream of both black and African to do better than our parents, or just do better in general. I think it's a thing to where we know it's there, but we don't want to work for it. The thing is, and I think a lot of times we're like, sometimes we become stagnant. I mean, we've created so much, but we become so stagnant, so just don't want to fight for it, and that's what gets me irritated. Wow, like I say, a lot of African countries, they find terrorists in countries. I mean, the thing is, the value of education is higher than they know what that can get them, and they can't really get that in a lot of African countries. You know, so like I said before, they come over here, they value way more. I feel like I said, at the end of the day, both blacks and Africans want the same dream, is to do good and to live nice. But it's about, like I said, the fight for it, and it's about we so accessible to we can get it so easy, but we lazy about it because we know it's there. Why Africans is like, what do you do? I'm here, I can go get it. Bam, it's right in my face. Especially already coming from, like I was saying, by a lot of families, especially African families being so strict, that's already in their brains that I got to do this. You know, with a lot of blacks in America, it's I want to do this. And when we can say more about black people in America, all of us, that we got to do this to better ourselves, I think we can have some improvement.
All right. Gotta fight the power. All right, Roman, that's all I got for you, babe. Like I say, but I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on it. So what you got to do is you got to start kicking it with them Africans. You know the saying that you are a product of the 5 people you hang around most. So if you got 5 African friends, that's all you need to hang around. Okay, don't hang around none of them American niggas. Just hang around.
I'm not cool with I'm not cool about you African people, man. You know, I want to go to Africa, see the motherland. You know, see who my ancestors is, man. But that's something I'm going to do, man. But that's my call.
Okay. All right, Roman. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Mr. Roman.
Man, anytime.
All right. We active. We hot fire tonight. What's the motherfucking deal? Who do we have calling into the den this evening?
Well, sure. You know. Hi there, folks. How y'all doing today?
Hey, this is Miss Better. I'm all better when I hear Miss Better. How are you? You got a little bit of echo in the background, Miss Better. You can take care of that for me?
Okay, this is a little better. Okay, from the title, I'm reading the title, African American versus, African American. I think that we structure ourselves in so much pride and prejudice amongst us, just amongst us. Ignore everybody else, throw everybody away. We have issues amongst ourselves. This is why we don't have no structure. In fact, we even segregating on a money level. Then there's an education level. I was listening to all these different segments of pride and prejudice amongst us as one. And then when you add it all up and then you go back to them bones that lady was mentioning in Africa, everybody's supposed to come from us anyway. So I'm on that level. But I don't see us as the same. Their outlook, their mental status is that, hey, we are a statue of kings and queens. Y'all been cut off and disconnected from us. Y'all are not on our nature, our mode of thinking. Y'all don't have the productivity, what they're saying, the education and the money. We're not as productive as these people are. It's because they are in a stature where they have worked all of their life. It's heritage. It comes from creed and breed. It comes from, this is history. This is family. This is how it goes. We structure in together so they're more prosperous on that angle. And then they feel like then we come in, the American ones, blacks, African Americans, whatever. We come in and we got this European format where heritage and history and where they come from, ancestry is more of their basis and their foundation of everything that they do. And whereas we come from a structure of money and income and where you live and how lighter you are. We put that all on ourselves, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of times they look at us as mixed breeds, as, you know, a cut of them. So why would they see us as them? You know, if they have that notion that you've been watered down with that white mixture, you know, so they look at us on a level of beyond. But I mean, we do it then again amongst ourselves. I mean, that movie School Days with Spike Lee, School Days. Look how we do them. You know, the light good hair one. You know, and this one your caller that was speaking, saying about, you know, she's Indian and what have you. Look how that family merge in. And even though they're the mango blood, they still have a prejudice amongst their own family. We keep throwing that in on each other, and I think that's the only difference between us and them is that we have applied a level of coloring, watering down, prejudice, and we don't carry the history, the heritage, you know, our descendants. We don't carry on from those people in Africa, you know, from Africa, you know, that's here in this setting. Like they said, we took on the white man's religion and whatever language and whatever else. So that's why they start separating themselves from us. And if we think about it, because if you look at it that way, man, the way he play his part and how he see himself above us, you know what I'm saying? We don't even take that mentality against him. We take it against each other. We are paying out. Oh no, I'm better than you because I'm lighter than you. House nigga, slave nigga mentality just done carry it on all the way to that. We break it down on some good hair, bad hair structure. You lighter, you look more Spanish, mixed this, what have you. And then we said we doing it to ourselves. I don't think there's no difference between an African and an African American, other than their thoughts and their beliefs. Because if you cut on us, we all gonna bleed the same.
I can agree with that. So, do you think that, though, the way that, well, who do you think? Let me try to. I can be biased with my questioning sometimes. Do you think that one side has a better approach than the other?
Yes.
Which side?
Because of the structure and foundation, I believe the Africans are way better off than us. They come from a more of a unity aspect of life, so I believe they carry on will be more prosperous than us. They're more unified than we are. I mean, amongst us, just us over here, African Americans here, we have such a prejudice and, you know, disillusion amongst us, just amongst ourselves. So if you got this segment of people who looking and saying, if I'm going to come to you and you're my people and I'm going to encircle you and enhance you, and we come up with a version of, well, the reason I don't like you is because your hair better than mine. Or the reason I don't like you is because you're lighter than me. You come up with all those notions, you're going to have issues. If that's what you're throwing, if that's your thinking, then even when you're, you know, laying out certain school aspects, you're still putting your prejudice in there. You're still from this angle of teaching. So if you're not saying this is such, this is so, this is way, this is how we do it, and I believe that's how the Africans do it. They lay down the foundation of this is how you get to here. If you do this here, and if you carry this forward, then you'll be able to do this here. You come into this here, and then you put this here. They have a more unified structure than we have over here. We segregate each other on money, looks, color, the lightness in the color. So I think they'll do better in any area. I mean, if you just set us, you know, side by side and say, go for what you know, I think they would come from a stronger structure. They would have a more powerful standing than we would, because we play into there's so much of different prejudice amongst each other. I just don't know how to say it. We carry that, and even if you just educating somebody and you have this flaw, that's what I'm going to call it, of prejudice in your mindset, then you're actually teaching on that level. You're actually applying things from that mental standpoint. So you're going to have a deterioration in it, especially if they have some type of hate and segregation. Whereas they come in and this is a unity, we're going to do this here, and we're going to stand as a family and a structure, a creed of people, what they call it, they section of people. They got different tribes, and we have you. We stand on this structure. We stand on this foundation. This is our thoughts. This is our religion. This is our way of thinking, and they build better from that aspect. To me, just any overall, they just build better from that aspect. I think if we gathered in that unity and took that of putting us in this here box and putting us in this box and then putting y'all over here in that box and putting them over there in that box. Because I think if the white man say niggas line up, we all going in that one box. He ain't gonna take the time to separate nothing.
Shit.
All niggas is going in that box.
Yeah, I'm going in that box. I ain't going in that box.
You say you ain't going in the box, but I'm not going in there. You who they how they say gotta take me by force. But I'm saying in the middle settles of niggas lined up. Then niggas gotta go in the box. If we have to go into a box, we all going into the same box together. We segregate each other so much. Look, just take one city. I'm gonna use mine. We got wards where we separate each other by wards. You this person from over here, California, or you this gang, you this color, you this, that, and other. Y'all from over there on that side of the track, this, that, and other. We come up with all kind of ways to separate on each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's where we lose at. If we build a foundation and a set, like